I'll yield to my friend from Georgia, Ms. Green.
Thank you. Governor Hochul, are you a Democrat? Yes or no?
I'm a proud registered Democrat, yes.
Did you support Joe Biden for president? Yes or no?
Yes, I did.
Did you support the Biden administration's policies for the past 4 years?
I raised my concerns in many
That's
meetings
a
with
yes
the
or no
administrations
question.
about how the border was being enforced, and so I raised concerns.
So
I
you
said-
just stated, I'll reclaim my time, you said you're a proud Democrat, you supported Joe Biden for president. Clearly, you supported the Biden administration's policies.
I
Did
supported
you
many of
swear,
them, yes,
Governor
I have.
Hochul, did you swear an oath to faithfully uphold New York's Constitution and laws?
I certainly did.
In 2017, New York became a sanctuary state when Governor Cuomo signed Executive Order 170. This states, it directs that no state officers or employees, including law enforcement officers, shall disclose information to federal immigration authorities for the purpose of federal civil immigration enforcement unless required by the law. Do you support this law as governor of New York?
Yes, this pertains to civil enforcement.
So you do enforce sanctuary policies of New York?
I supporting helping law enforcement when it comes and ICE when it comes to.
Thank you. I
dealing with
reclaim my
criminals.
time. You support sanctuary policies that have led to the horrific murder of people, Americans. This Fox News got it wrong. It should say monster. Arrested in broad daylight rape of a 13-year-old in a New York park. This girl was raped at knife point in the park near New York Mets Stadium. That's your state, Governor Hochul. New York Post also got it wrong and called him a migrant. That's a monster. Busted in brutal beating of New York PD cops in Times Square are members of bloodthirsty Trinde Aragua gangs. That's your state where you support your sanctuary state laws. Also, Governor Hochul, do you recognize this image?
Yes.
Where a homeless woman was burned alive by an illegal alien monster, where you uphold the laws to protect these monsters in your state, and then you force the New York citizens that pay taxes to pay for these people. This is the result of your sick and disgusting treasonous laws that you uphold as governor.
New York is not a
I
sanctuary
didn't
state for
recognize you, Ms.
criminals.
Hochul. This is my time. Do you know the name Laken Riley? Do you know the
Yes,
name
I
Laken
do.
Riley?
Yes, I do.
Oh, you do. Jose Ibarra murdered 22-year-old Laken Riley. He's an illegal alien monster from Venezuela, convicted of 10 charges. He was first arrested by the Biden administration that you stated that you support. Joe Biden for president, right? Proud Democrat, Governor Hochul. First arrested at the border and released by the Democrats that you support. Then, guess what? He made it to New York because the Biden administration flew illegals all over the country, and your state was one that accepted them. He lived at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Queens, an upscale hotel that was turned into an illegal alien shelter at the taxpayers' expense. $2 million a month went to this hotel. The second time he was arrested was in the state of New York for endangering a child. But he was released quickly before ICE could even issue a detainer, because you support those laws, Governor Hochul. Then he flew, get this is shocking. He flew from the state of New York to my home state in Georgia, and you all paid for it. Because, why? Because it was reticketing, and that was the little gift that you were giving my state by sending monsters there. Costs the state of New York $5 to $10 million a day to feed and house illegals. Are you smiling at me about this?
I'm not.
You look like you got quite a smile on your face.
No.
Because I can tell you
Gentlelady
people,
will not.
this is my time, reclaiming my
order.
time.
I'm thinking
Don't
about
attack the
parents.
witness.
Don't you dare
Don't attack the
smile
witness.
about the murder
Order.
of
I'm
Laken
thinking about
Riley.
her parents.
The third time,
question
the
how I
third
look.
time Jose
My heart is
Ibarra-
breaking for her
my
parents.
time, Governor Hochul. The third time he was arrested was in the sanctuary city of Athens, another Democrat policy. And then he went on and attempted to rape Laken Riley and murdered her. He murdered her. Let me explain something to you. This little girl right here, she would be alive today if you weren't such a treasonous governor supporting sanctuary laws in the state of New York, this little girl would be alive today, and her mother very much would like for her to be alive. This is outrageous for anybody in this country to support for non-citizens to be able to come in our country, be able to travel wherever they want, and then make taxpayers pay to house them, feed them, and then give them a plane ticket after they had been arrested in their state. That's what you did. You are responsible for the murder of this little girl, Laken Riley. And the Department of Justice should prosecute you for her murder.
Objection. Objection.
I don't care how much you object, and if you
Objection.
support it too,
Objection.
you're responsible for her murder. I yield back,
Gentlelady,
Mr. Chairman.
On a point of order. On
Gentlelady.
a point of order.
Gentlelady's
On
time's
a point of
expired.
order.
State your point.
Mr. Chairman, these witnesses have been here for over 4 hours. They've all voluntarily have been engaging with our members with respect. They've all treated our members with respect.
Laken Riley
Our rules
is
of
dead
decorum-
forever.
Our rules
Forever.
of decorum.
Forever.
Our rules
They
of
can sit
decorum
there all
reclaiming
day.
my time.
Hold on.
Reclaiming
No,
my
wait,
time.
state your point.
I'm
State your-
trying to.
State your
Let
point.
me- let me
No,
do it without
it's a
interruption.
point of inquiry, not a
Our rules-
debate.
Our
You've had your
rules,
time.
our rules, if you would let me speak, our rules of decorum dictate that our witnesses should be treated with respect, and I ask you to enforce decorum and remind committee members to treat our witnesses with respect.
Our members are treating the witnesses with respect. This is not a courtroom. We engage with the witnesses, and I think everybody's acting within the realm. We haven't cried and screamed when you all are criticizing the current
Accusing them of-
president, even though that's in
accusing
the
them of treason
rules,
and
not to
breaking the
criticize.
law and
All
how
right.
they look,
All right,
That's-
maybe.
Mr.
Chairman, if you win the chairmanship, if you all flip the House, you win the chairmanship, then you can do what Mr. Lady yields back chair, and I recognize Mr. Donalds from Florida.
Thank you, Chairman. To piggyback off my colleague, Governor Pritzker, how much does the state of Illinois spend on illegal immigration every year?
Again, illegal immigration, that's a federal responsibility. They could tell how much is wasted as a result of their failures.
Governor, don't you keep track of how many people are on your Medicaid rolls, how many people who are illegal immigrants in the state of Illinois who are getting actually benefits in your state? Doesn't your government keep track of that?
They don't get Medicaid in Illinois or any state, as far as I know.
Governor Pritzker, you do not keep track of any public service dollars in the state of Illinois that goes to illegal immigrants or goes to people in your state who are not legal residents of the United States and of the state of Illinois. You don't keep track of that.
We absolutely keep track of our budget, and we're very closely, and in fact, it's been balanced for 7 years in a row, unlike the Republican before me, yeah.
You know, it's interesting. I noticed that in the state of Illinois, you guys don't really keep track of your money, because I asked your mayor in Chicago similar question about a month ago, and he didn't have an answer. It was quite interesting. I think this might be an Illinois problem. Governor Hochul, in your state, you are spending about roughly $4 billion on illegal immigration. And at the same time, you are actually asking the federal government for $4 billion to finish Penn Station. Don't you think it would be better to stop funding illegal immigrants in your state and actually use those resources to finish Penn Station as opposed to coming to the federal government for the money?
Penn Station is owned by Amtrak, not by the state, so it's an appropriate use of their dollars, and Donald Trump has agreed to spend upwards of $7 billion. I appreciated that very much. What we spend on immigrants, the immigrants who are here hardworking to live a life and working on our farms and taking care of our parents in nursing homes and taking care of our children, they have been coming here for 400 years. And we don't keep track of individuals based on their status. We make sure that people have services so we don't end up with an unexpected.
So essentially what you're telling me is that you keep no track of money that is going to people who are not legal in the United States, resources that are taken away from New Yorkers, resources that are taken away from Illinoisans. You guys do not keep track of any of this.
You know what's really challenging is that many people came here with legal status. I mean, temporary protective status, 300,000.
Do you
all of a sudden they wake up one day and it's
do you
gone.
go along with the strategy from the Biden administration, which massively expanded immigration protocols that overwhelmed your city and overwhelmed your state? Do you agree with that?
We call for secure borders. We call for this body to
I
do
never
its
remember
job.
you calling for secure borders at
No,
all, Governor Hochul.
We certainly have.
That
We
doesn't
certainly
sound
have.
like him to my memory.
Many conversations I had with the White House. And we asked for federal resources. I mean, you're putting a federal problem on our laps, and You know what? It gets old after a while. I wish you would just do your job.
If your
here
party
and
actually would
pass
do the job of
meaningful
securing
reform.
the nation the way President Trump has now had to do twice, we wouldn't be in this predicament. Wouldn't you agree?
It's a
Do you
federal-
agree or
it's a
disagree
federal
that
job.
securing the nation's borders is the job of the President of the United States? President Trump has done that job twice now,
Well,
and previous Democrat presidents have not done that job. Wouldn't you agree with that?
this has been a problem that's been in place since I was a young staffer here on Capitol Hill. We worked on immigration, and Ronald Reagan signed amnesty for 3 million people.
You know, it's
to
interesting
get
you
in
bring up
situations.
Reagan's amnesty in '86. You know, part of that deal was to actually build border wall and secure it, but the Democrat Party refuses to build border wall. You oppose it every single time. Is that your position? Do you now support border walls,
There
Governor
has
Hochul?
been many times when bipartisan legislation is presented to this body and people just walk away from it. They refuse to do the hard work of governing that governors like us have to do every single day. When I leave here, I'm going to go home and govern a state. I'm not going to tweet about this experience because I have too much work to do taking care of New Yorkers. And
You're
keeping
really
them
not doing a
safe.
good job, Governor Hochul, because a lot of New Yorkers are actually coming into my state, in Florida, many of them. They come all the time because they actually want to come to a state that is well-run, that protects citizens, does not allow illegal aliens to victimize citizens like they are victimized in the state of New York, like they are victimized in the state of Illinois, like they are victimized in the state of Minnesota. They choose states like Florida and Texas to find safer places to live and raise their families. Hold on, Governor Hochul. We've had
our
enough
crime
time.
rates are much
Governor
lower than
Walz, you've been
yours,
sitting over there
much
pretty
lower.
quiet. I got a question for you.
I love to talk. Thank you, Congressman.
Fair enough. You said earlier that the ICE agents under the orders of President Trump are a modern-day Gestapo. Do you realize how disgusting a phrase that is, considering the history of Nazi Germany? Would you like to recant that statement?
What I said, Congressman, and I have a long history of supporting law enforcement, I said President Trump was using them as his modern-day Gestapo, not identifying who you are, coming up in unmarked vans, taking people away and giving...
Is it the responsibility of ICE to actually deport illegal aliens in the United States who are here? Isn't that their responsibility?
Yes, it is, Congressman, except that the Constitution is not an inconvenience. It's not an either-or.
Nobody
You
said
can
an
do your
inconvenience.
job and
You have a
practice due
responsibility to deport illegal aliens, and the
Through due
president is
process.
going through that process right now.
We are
And
not
let's
just-
be very clear, the previous administration, they abused every process there is under border laws to allow more than 10 million people into the country illegally. And this is a burden on all Americans. And so the president is doing his job. So it is sick to refer to Americans who are ICE agents as Gestapo. Governor, you're wrong. You need to apologize to these agents. They're doing their jobs. They are Americans. They serve this country with honor and decency and respect. Do not diminish their work simply because you tried to make a cheap point that you could tweet. I yield back.
So ordered. Chair recognizes Mr. Lawler from New York.
Governor Hochul, under your watch, New York has spent billions of dollars of taxpayer money providing free housing, clothing, food, education, and health care to illegal immigrants. Meanwhile, you're charging hardworking New Yorkers $2,500 annually just for the privilege of driving to work. Speaking of driving, when you ran for Congress, did you oppose giving driver's licenses to illegals, yes or no?
No, that was previous to that. It was in 2020.
You had a commercial running for Congress touting your
No,
position
but the position
about
goes back earlier than that.
driver's
My point.
licenses.
My point.
Did you oppose giving driver's licenses to illegals when you were running for Congress? Yes or no?
At the time I did,
Yes
and I'll
or no?
tell you
Governor,
why.
it's yes or no?
I had a
yes or
chance
no?
to go out and see a very rural district.
Reclaiming my
where
time.
mothers were being denied the chance.
Governor,
to drive
yes
their
or no?
kids
Do
to
you
the doctor's
support illegal
office.
immigrants getting
People were being denied the
taxpayer-funded
chance to
health
go to their
care?
jobs, and I understood the
Governor,
merits
please
of
answer the
having it.
question.
I'm
Governor,
not sure there'll ever be a real question.
you were asked a question and you chose to
I
try to
gave an
deflect.
answer.
The fact is you did support giving illegals driver's
It was
licenses, oppose giving illegals driver's licenses. Now you support it.
Mm-hmm.
Governor, yes or no? Do you support illegal immigrants getting taxpayer-funded health care? Yes or no?
We provide health care to people in need, including moms with new babies.
Do you support giving illegal immigrants taxpayer-funded health care? Yes or no?
We support giving money, support
The
for
answer is
healthcare
yes. You expanded health care access in 2024
Yes, I did.
under Medicaid.
for senior citizens
Governor,
and
after the
moms with
election,
new
you
babies.
said,
I would do it all
reclaiming
over
my
again.
time. Governor, after the election, you said, someone breaks the law, I'll be the first one to call up ICE and say, get them out of here. Governor, yes or no? Have you personally called up ICE and asked them to get anyone out of New York?
As the governor of New York, I have an entire state police force
Have you
that
personally
carries on
called
my
anybody up
directions.
and asked ICE to get anyone out of New York? Yes or no?
My state police acts as my agency and
You
my
have
surrogate.
not, correct?
When I say me, I'm referring to my entities such as the state police that handle
You're like
that.
Governor Cuomo, I am the government?
That's your
position?
characterization, not mine.
Yes or no, should ICE have been called on Sebastian Zapata Cali?
Can you refresh me as to the circumstances of the case?
He's the individual who burned the woman alive on the train.
Of course.
Should
they
ICE
should.
have been called on him?
NYPD was handling that situation.
Should ICE have been called? That's my question. Yes or no?
If there was an arrest made, he should have been deported after conviction, yes.
Okay. So, Governor, when you were sworn in 2021, you signed an executive order keeping many of Governor Cuomo's executive orders in place, including EO 170. Interestingly enough, you did not include EO 170.1. Are you familiar with EO 170.1?
I don't have it in front of me. I have thousands of executive orders.
I have it right here, Governor.
Sure you do.
And what you did, you waited several years until this year, January 16th of this year, in which you finally signed it and reinstated it into law. Why did you wait until just 4 days before Donald Trump was sworn in as president to sign EO 170.1 into law? And to refresh your memory, it basically mandates that federal immigration authorities cannot enforce civil arrests in New York State buildings. Why did you wait several years to reinstate that?
Because we had a high level of confidence that under the previous administration that people going into the courthouses, whether they're victims of crimes, witnesses of crimes, would have their rights protected. I had no
In other
assurance
words,
that that would
you
happen.
believe they would not enforce federal immigration law, and you were concerned that President Trump and his administration would enforce federal immigration law?
We thought it was important for victims of crimes and witnesses to murders, for example, that they have access to courts without being threatened or intimidated.
Yeah. Speaking of crime, more than 3,200 illegal immigrants have been arrested in New York City for committing crimes while living in taxpayer-funded housing under your watch, Governor. Governor, are you aware of any law or executive order that would prevent a citizen of New York, a citizen of the United States, from facing criminal or civil enforcement in a state building?
I'm not aware.
So you think that citizens should be treated less than and have less protections than illegal immigrants?
No, we
Is that what
refer-
you're saying?
Our state laws say we cooperate in all criminal cases. I've made that very clear over the last
Yeah, but you're not doing that.
7
That's the
hours.
reality. Governor, do you
Truth is,
support,
we
do you
don't
support
help
the New
them with
York
civil
for All
enforcement
Act?
because civil
Governor,
enforcement
reclaiming my
isn't-
time. Do you
Go for it.
support the New York for All Act?
I'm not speaking about hypothetical
No,
bills.
Governor, this isn't a hypothetical. There was a sit-in in the state legislature today by activists blocking state senators from coming into the chamber. Do you support the New York for All Act? It's yes or no.
I will tell you this, I get about 1,000 bills put on
Do
my
you
desk
support
probably by
the New York
midnight
for All
tonight,
Act?
which is, this is keeping me from doing the work of the people back home. But I can
Governor,
sit here
you've
as
done a
long as you
terrible
like.
job as governor. It's not keeping you from anything. Frankly, New York is better off with you down here and not in the state. The fact
don't think we're better off with you here.
The fact is, Governor, you will support the New York for All Act. You will sign it into law if it passes the
I have
state
no confidence it's
legislature.
going to pass.
You have no confidence it will pass.
I don't
If
know.
it does pass, will you sign it?
I'm not able to keep an eye on it. They're voting on
Will you sign it
resolutions now.
into law if it passes?
I have about 1,000 bills that get passed
Will
every
you sign the
year.
New York for All Act into law if it
You
passes?
have to wait
Yes or
and
no?
see, like every other bill.
We have to wait and see?
Yes,
Governor,
because
you
I've-
can't take a position on the New York for All Act. It would put into state statute that New York is a sanctuary state. That's why you're here. That is the exact reason why you're sitting in front of us testifying, because of your disastrous EOs, your disastrous pro-criminal policies that have resulted in the death
Chairman.
of New Yorkers.
Mr.
That is your failure. And the fact is that you can't even answer the question.
No, the
Will
reason
you
I'm
support
sitting
the
here
New
is
York
because
for All Act?
Republicans are
Gentlemen,
looking
Yes or no?
to
time's
deflect from the
expired.
big, bad, ugly bill that's going to hurt people. in
Governor.
your
Governor,
district.
gentlemen,
will
time's
you
expired.
support
Governor, are you going to
the
answer
New
his
York
question
for
when
All
you
Act?
sign the
I don't know
bill?
what he's asking me.
He asked if you were going to sign the bill.
I don't ask anybody in the state of New York. I never say how I'm going to vote on decide on a bill until it lands on my desk.
You are the
Thousands-
governor of the state. You are supposed
I'm well
to lead.
aware.
You
Well
want
aware I'm
New York
the
to
governor.
be a
Gentlemen's time's
sanctuary state.
expired.
It's shameful. It's shameful. You can't even answer the question?
When it lands on my desk, I'll do the proper
Mr. Chair-
evaluation.
Chair
You'll do what?
recognizes.
That's
you
what
have-
we
You'll do
do.
what?
That's how
You'll
you become
sign
a
it into
governor.
law.
You'll
That's
never know.
exactly what
Okay,
you'll
your
do.
day recognizes Mr. Gill from Texas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Governor Pritzker, do you know how much illegal immigration costs your state each year?
No, sir, I do not.
Costs over $780 per family per year. That's a lot of money, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And may I ask, what do you mean by the cost?
That is a lot of money for
the cost of illegal
your state.
immigration.
Let me ask you, do you know who Franklin Jose Pena Ramos is?
Are you talking about the federal government's
I'm
cost to
asking
the
you if you
state
know
of
who
Illinois as a
Franklin
result of the
Jose
failed
Pena Ramos is.
immigration policy?
It's a yes or no question. I'll take that as a no. Do you know who Jose Martinez Rangel is?
No, sir, I do not.
You don't. You should. Those are two men who came into this country illegally, raped and murdered 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungary in my home state of Texas. Do you think that elected officials should have welcomed them into our communities?
Sir, before they committed a crime, I'm not sure what you're asking.
Do you think that they should have been welcomed into our communities? That's a very straightforward question.
Someone who commits murder, no. Someone who commits murder should be apprehended.
Why did you state during Biden's border crisis that illegal aliens, quote, should have been welcomed and helped by elected officials?
When you say illegal aliens, these are people who are given
welcomed
asylum.
and helped into our communities.
People who are
That's an
asylum
easy
seekers.
yes or no question.
Well, you're mischaracterizing them.
It is your position that they should have been welcomed into our communities. Is that correct?
There were asylum
That's from
seekers
your
who were
own
here
statement.
legally.
And
There
then
were
they went
asylum
on and
seekers.
murdered and raped 12-year-old Jocelyn.
Someone who
Nungary.
commits murder should be held accountable. We do that in the state.
And
of
you think
Illinois.
they should have been welcomed into our communities before they did?
I don't know how you can tell before somebody commits a crime
You can
that they are
secure the
going to
border
commit the
and
crime.
not let illegal aliens come into our communities. Do you support abolishing ICE?
Asylum seekers.
Do you support
Not-
abolishing ICE?
No, I believe we need an immigration force in the United States.
You
In
don't.
fact,
You believe a budget is a moral document. Is that correct?
I do.
You do. You tweeted that. Your administration gave $12,000 to the Organized Communities Against Deportations, which just this past month was marching in the streets of Chicago with signs saying abolish ICE. Do you support this?
I do not.
Is this a
support
reflection of
abolishing
your
an
moral
immigration
values?
force.
Is this a reflection of your moral values?
I do not support abolishing an immigration force.
That's good to hear. Mr. Governor, do you think that biological men should be able to use women's restrooms?
I'm not sure how this has to do with immigration.
It's
sir.
just a yes or no question.
Why are you
It's very easy to
politicizing
answer.
this?
Do you
I
think
thought
that
we were
men
here
should be using
doing
women's
fact
restrooms?
finding. I'm sorry?
Do you think men should be allowed in women's restrooms?
I'm not sure why this has come to this issue.
You
It has
tweeted
nothing
that
to do
as
with
a
immigration.
protest against President Trump, everyone should use the other gender's bathroom today. Have you ever used the women's restroom?
Not that I can recall ever, sir. No.
You wanted everybody else to do it, but you didn't?
Sir, I'm not sure
that-
why we're on a topic that has
I'm
nothing to
asking
do
you,
with
you're
today's hearing.
advocating for men to use women's restrooms, but you didn't do it?
I do not advocate that, no.
Well, actually, you did. You said everyone should use the other gender's bathroom today.
I can tell you that you are
Do you regret
politicizing
saying
this
this?
in a way that what we ought to be focusing on is
Do you
the
regret
failure of the federal
encouraging men to
government
use women's restrooms?
and the Congress to deal with immigration reform.
Do you regret encouraging men to use women's restrooms?
Again, you're taking us on topics that have.
Did you ever
nothing to
consider
do
that
with
women don't
the
want you in
subject
their-
that you
in their
invited us here
bathrooms?
for? So you're admitting that this is just a political circus.
No,
Is that what you're
I'm
doing?
asking you
This
because
is
you put
nothing
this
to do
on
with
the
immigration
internet for everybody
and
to
really
see.
about you grandstanding.
I'm asking you, have you ever considered that women don't want you in their bathrooms? That's a private space that they don't want you or any other man in.
Congressman, let's talk
You
about
can't-
your
you can't say that
failure to
normal
vote
people can
for
say that
Medicaid.
they
In
don't-
fact, you want to
that
take
they don't
Medicaid
think
away.
men should be in
and
women's
SNAP
restrooms.
And
That's a
veteran
very
services.
straightforward question.
You apparently want people
And you're
to die
encouraging men to
in the
use
United
women's
States
restrooms
because you
where there
want
could
to
be
take healthcare
underage
away.
girls. Do you think that's appropriate?
Sir, if we're going to
Do you think that's
politicize
normal?
this, let's talk about what you're doing to people in
you
this
think that
country
that's normal?
by virtue of your votes.
All right, let's move on.
with
Let's
President
ask,
Trump.
do you support Hamas's agenda?
Sir, I do not. They are a terrorist organization.
Your administration gave a grant to the Muslim Civic Coalition, which just 2 weeks after October 7th was marching in the streets of Chicago to, quote, stop the U.S.-backed genocide against Gaza. Is that a reflection of your values?
I have spent my life fighting anti-Semitism.
No, I'm asking, is this a reflection of your values?
I'm not sure why you're attacking
Because
me
your
about something in an
administration
organization.
gave money to this organization.
I'm explaining to you that what we do in the state of Illinois is stand up for what we believe are
You didn't have to
rights
give
and
money
freedoms.
to the Muslim Civic Coalition
People
to
have
march
the
and
right to
call,
express themselves.
to stop the
We
U.S.
don't-
backed genocide against Gaza. That was your choice.
I
That
know
was your
Republicans want to
administration.
take away people's right to free speech. We don't in the state of Illinois, and I
They've
do
got
not
the right to
believe that
free
is
speech.
proper.
They don't have the right to tax dollars, and you gave them to them.
You want to take those rights away from people. I understand.
Gentlemen, time's expired.